Bemidbar, Numbers chapter 19. And Yahuah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, saying, This is a law of the Torah, which Yahuah has commanded, saying, Speak to the children of Yisrael, that they bring you a red heifer, a perfect one, in which there is no blemish, and on which a yoke has never come. And you shall give it to Eleazar the Kohen, and he shall bring it outside the camp, and shall slaughter it before him. And Eleazar the Kohen shall take some of its blood with his finger, and sprinkle some of its blood 7 times toward the front of the tent of appointment. And the heifer shall be burned before his eyes. He burns its hide, and its flesh, and its blood, and its dung. And the Kohen shall take cedar wood, and hyssop, and scarlet, and throw them into the midst of the fire burning the heifer. The Kohen shall then wash his garments, and shall bathe his body in water, and afterward come into the camp. But the Kohen is unclean until evening. And he who is burning it washes his garments in water, and shall bathe his body in water, and is unclean until evening. And a clean man shall gather up the ashes of the heifer, and shall place them outside the camp in a clean place. And they shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Yisrael, for the water, for uncleanness. It is for cleansing from sin. And he who gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his garments, and is unclean until evening. And it shall be a law forever to the children of Yisrael, and to the stranger who sojourns in their midst. He who touches the dead of any human being is unclean for 7 days. He is to cleanse himself with the water on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he is clean. But if he does not cleanse himself on the 3rd day, then on the 7th day he is not clean. Anyone who touches the dead of a human being and does not cleanse himself defiles the Mishkan of Yahweh, and that being shall be cut off from Yisrael. He is unclean, for the water for uncleanness was not sprinkled on him. His uncleanness is still upon him. This is the Torah when a man dies in a tent. All who come into the tent and all who are in the tent are unclean for 7 days, and every open vessel which has no cover fastened on it is unclean. Anyone in the open field who touches someone slain by a sword, or who has died, or a bone of a man, or a grave, is unclean for 7 days. And for the unclean being, they shall take some of the ashes of the heifer, burnt for cleansing from sin, and running water shall be put on them in a vessel. And a clean man shall take hyssop, and dip it in the water, and shall sprinkle it on the tent, and on all the vessels, and on the beings who were there, and on the one who touched a bone, or the slain, or the dead, or a grave. And the clean one shall sprinkle the unclean on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day. And on the 7th day he shall cleanse himself, and shall wash his garments, and bathe in water, and shall be clean in the evening. But the man who is unclean and does not cleanse himself, that being shall be cut off from among the assembly, because he has defiled the Mikdash of Yahuah. Water for uncleanness has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. And it shall be a law for them forever. And the one who sprinkles the water for uncleanness washes his garments. And the one who touches the water for uncleanness is unclean until evening. And whatever the unclean being touches is unclean. And the being who touches it is unclean until evening. Bemidbar, Numbers chapter 20. And the children of Yisrael, all the congregation, came into the wilderness of Sin in the 1st month. And the people stayed in Kadesh. And Miryam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation, and they assembled against Moshe and Aharon. And the people contended with Moshe and spoke, saying, If only we had died when our brothers died before Yahuah. Why have you brought up the assembly of Yahuah into the wilderness that we and our livestock should die here? And why have you brought us up out of Mitzrayim to bring us to this evil place? Not a place of grain or figs or vines or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. Then Moshe and Aharon went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tent of appointment, and they fell on their faces. And the esteem of Yahuah appeared to them. And Yahuah spoke to Moshe, saying, Take the rod and assemble the congregation, you and your brother Aharon, and you shall speak to the rock before their eyes, and it shall give its water. And you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and all their livestock. And Moshe took the rod from before Yahuah as he commanded him. And Moshe and Aharon assembled the assembly before the rock, and he said to them, Hear now, you rebels, shall we bring water for you out of this rock? Then Moshe lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and much water came out, and the congregation and their livestock drank. But Yahuah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, Because you did not believe me to kadosh me in the eyes of the children of Yisrael, therefore you do not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. These were the waters of Meribah, because the children of Yisrael contended with Yahuah, and he was kadosh among them. And Moshe sent messengers from Kodesh to the sovereign of Edom. This is what your brother Israel said. You know all the hardship that has befallen us, that our fathers went down to Mitzrayim, and we dwelt in Mitzrayim a long time, and the Mitzrites did evil to us and our fathers. And we cried out to Yahuah, and he heard our voice, and sent the messenger, and brought us up out of Mitzrayim. And see, we are in Kodesh, a city on the edge of your border. Please, let us pass over through your land. We shall not pass over through fields or vineyards, nor drink water from wells. We shall go along the sovereign's highway. We shall not turn aside right or left until we have passed over your border. But Edom said to him, You do not pass over through me, lest I come out against you with the sword. And the children of Israel said to him, We shall go by the highway, and if I or my livestock drink any of your water, then I shall pay for it. Let me only pass over on foot without a word. But he said, You do not pass over. And Edom came out against them with many men and with a strong hand. So when Edom refused to let Yisrael pass over through his border, Yisrael turned away from him. And the children of Yisrael, all the company, departed from Kadesh and came to Mount Hor. And Yahuah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon in Mount Hor, near the border of the land of Edom, saying, Aharon is to be gathered to his people, for he is not to enter the land which I have given to the children of Yisrael, because you rebelled against my mouth at the water of Meribah. Take Aharon and Eleazar his son, and bring them up to Mount Hor, and strip Aharon of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son. For Aharon is to be gathered to his people, and die there. And Moshe did as Yahuah commanded, and they went up to Mount Hor before the eyes of all the congregation. And Moshe stripped Aharon of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son. And Aharon died there, on the top of the mountain. And Moshe and Eleazar came down from the mountain. And when all the congregation saw that Aharon was dead, all the house of Yisrael wept for Aharon 30 days.